I feel like I'm
yeah.
above everybody.
Well, you are, because you stand.
Good morning and welcome to AM News Network presents The Morning Report with Rachel Baird and Ed Peruta. We're joined today, as we are on most Thursdays, by Chris Janko, a Harwinton resident. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Hello, Ed. Transmitting live from our American News Media Center studio in Harwinton, Connecticut.
Where's that?
In Harwinton, Litchfield County,
So
Connecticut.
Little island off the coast of South America.
Now,
Are we on a sleepy road called Burlington?
Yeah. You know, I would actually tell people that they'd ask me where I was from when I was down in Oklahoma. I'd tell them, oh, it's Connecticut. I wouldn't even say Harwinton. I'd say Connecticut. Oh, where's that? I'd say, well, it's a little island off the coast of South America. Well, what are you doing in this country? Kid you not. I kid you not. There's a lot of people out there that really need to get their geography
well, but seriously,
up.
do you think that Route 4 outside our office is sleepy?
No, I'd say it's more of a busier.
It's pretty
country
busy.
Road. Yeah, there's been counts done on the, and I believe it's well over 500 or so cars go by on a daily basis.
I think they're doing a count right now. Didn't we see the strings out there? Well, you can't blame somebody like a writer, a freelance writer for Politico magazine, for looking at a Google map, though, and seeing where we're located and assuming that Route 4 is a sleepy road. Now, I don't know if you know, Chris, but Ed's case, Peruta v. California, was not granted cert, so the Supreme Court's not going to hear it. So the case is done.
Wow.
And there was an article done in Politico magazine by Matt Valentine about Ed, his case, reciprocity, and some other gun issues. And I just want to read to you how it begins. It says, in Harwinton, Connecticut, in the back room of a law office, nestled between the liquor lady and a plot of weathered gravestones along sleepy Burlington Road, Rachel Baird and Ed Peruta co-host a live streaming internet talk show at 7 a.m. Mondays through Thursdays. And you're part of that because you're here on Thursdays.
That almost sounds like a seductive
It does,
crime
doesn't
novel
it?
or
I know.
No,
I love the way it opens.
But I have to tell you, there is an aspect of the story that I would like to embellish.
Okay.
He talks about our 251 subscribers.
Oh, let me read that too. For the edification of their 251 subscribers, they parse the minutiae of constitutional law and discuss the many legal battles in which one or both are personally embroiled, she as attorney and he as legal investigator or plaintiff. The set looks a bit like Saul Goodman's office in Breaking Bad, complete with a floor-to-ceiling backdrop of the Declaration of Independence. It does sound like a novel, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you know what? If you think about it, we've probably got more subscribers than the Waterbury Republican in a couple of these.
No. But here, yes, on YouTube, we have 251 subscribers.
I think 254 as of today.
Well,
you know, I'm not even a subscriber yet.
Well, that's true. A lot of people aren't.
Now, the benefit to being a subscriber, or the annoyance at being a subscriber, is when we go on, you get alerted.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have a feed on Facebook. And Facebook has people that get notified when we're going on. Now, if Gary Nance is out there, I would like him to call in.
I think Gary Nance is always out there.
Well, if Gary Nance is out there, I would like him to call in.
We depend on him being always out there.
Because I would like to do a test.
Mm-hmm.
Because
one of those emergency broadcasting tests.
Well, yeah. And you know, he may still be sleeping because it's 4 after 4 in the morning out there.
Well, that's the nice thing about the podcast is that you could watch them at your convenience,
right.
You know, which is really nice.
Did you get your haircut at your relative's? Who's your relative?
No, I did. You know what I did, Rachel?
License?
I shaved my goatee off, and I'm glad that somebody's noticed that.
I think it's a vast improvement. No, I do. Is this it? There he is.
Gary.
My wife, I don't even think.
Gary, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have Skype?
Oh boy.
I don't use it.
Okay. Well, what I would like to do is I would like to ask you to go on to Skype, and I would like you to search for Media Center, Harwinton, Connecticut.
Meeting Center, Harwinton, Connecticut.
Media Center.
Media Center.
2 words, in Harwinton, Connecticut.
Already.
And I would like you to place a Skype call to the Media Center, because we have finally figured out a way that we believe it will work. And I'd like you to be the person who tests it.
Okay, let's leave him with that task. Bye, Gary.
gonna
Okay,
say,
I'll do
then-
that
then-
later.
Hopefully we
Okay.
see your face.
All right, bye.
Then we want you to go to the National Library and,
It's a-
research this.
It's a scavenger hunt. Hey, what do you think about the vote on the library in Harwinton? Let's ask a real Harwinton resident.
You know, I'm going to say this right now. There has to be more. There has to be more due diligence as far as looking into this money for these libraries. We had $7 million for the Torrington Library. We had $5 million proposed for the Harwinton Library. I have a hard time understanding that the Torrington Library needed $7 million to do a renovation. I don't think we spent that much on the town hall. And somebody's got to look into this a little bit more, because I did see somewhere where the National Library Association sends money to these Soros type entities.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, look where the money goes, because if you've got these library foundations that are giving the money I'm just speculating now, so don't hold my backside to the fire, but I'm just going to say, I can't understand. I haven't been in the Torrington Library yet, but I'm dying to go down there, because
Were you in it before?
have you ever seen a house in the real estate magazines that you could buy for $7 million? Usually it comes with 30 acres of land. Usually it's a big palatial.
Depends where it's at.
$7 million?
In California?
Well, yeah, I know California, but still, $7 million is a lot of money, and usually it can buy a lot of house. I see the library. It's in the nasty section of Torrington.
Please.
There is no nice section of Torrington.
that's
Sometimes
not.
I get to the point
It's
where
right
I go,
next to
oh, my
beautiful
God.
Cove Park.
Yeah, well, beautiful Cove Park, yep. So there's the parking lot. Okay, if you pave the parking lot, I'm going to give the paving the parking lot, say $80,000, even if we have to go $100,000. So where did the other money go? $7 million. I really would love somebody to do a little bit more research.
Well, is that
on
taxpayer money, or are you saying some
Well,
of
I'm
it may
sure
have
it's
come
grants,
from
but I
private
don't
funds?
care. I don't think Disneyland, when it was first built, was $7 million. I kid around, but you got to start thinking about this. It's easy to just toss money around. We got bridges and highways that are being
But
built.
if it's not taxpayer money and it's grant money and it's people that just want to support libraries, and who gets the money? Construction companies get the money, who pay their workers, who buy food in the area. I mean, the money trickles down to it's not like $7 million was burned up. The money went to people who then spent
You just
it.
always remember that. Everybody has
It's
this
jobs.
tendency.
It's jobs creation.
I know it's jobs creation, but you always have to look at it like this: that grant money, federal money, state money. It's not federal money. It's not state money. It's not grant money. It's money that comes from us, people.
Well, it depends though. If
We
the
have to
money
always start looking
money's
at it
coming
like
from
that.
George Soros, then it's not coming from me.
Yeah, but George Soros isn't giving to the Library Foundation. He's giving to groups like the Black Lives Matter, which has no purpose to help black people out. It's designed to be a radical left. It's a radical leftist group, just like all these other Soros entities. And I know we're getting a little bit off topic here. We're trying to,
Well,
you
there,
know,
is,
we're not
there,
off
there
topic.
is no specific
we're
topic.
trying to talk about what's going on with the state of Connecticut. We got a state here that's $5 billion. It's almost hard to say.
That's with a B.
With a B. When I first started hearing about this deficit, I started thinking, I go, well, how many millions could we be? 50 million. I says 50 million. We'll do something here. We'll do something. How do you even start to do anything with when you're talking about billions? Billions of dollars is like, what the scary thing is the only people they can really get it out of are the middle class in Connecticut, because the upper echelons, they have the lawyers that, and I don't mean to, I know you're not a tax lawyer or anything like that, but obviously when you have good lawyers,
I would not mind being a tax lawyer.
Boy, you're not kidding. But when you have good attorneys, when you have good money managers, the people that really make the big money in Connecticut, they pay more than their share. But they're not going to sit there and go, $5 billion, I think I'm going to give another 25% to the state out of my income to get this deficit down. No, they're going to take that 25%
Different way
and
to
put
phrase
it
it. I'm not going to let the state take an additional 25% of my income to finance that deficit.
Yeah, but that's the problem, Ed, is that we sit here and we say that. Everybody's got, big cooliones when you're sitting here and that state of Connecticut. But what happens is the state, like the proverbial frog boiling in the water, well, we're going to bring that mill rate up, and then we got to do this.
How old are you?
I am going to be 56 this year.
You may be old enough to remember this.
Moonshots?
Nope.
JFK?
Now, I turned 21 years old.
Challenger.
I turned 21 years old in 1970. And I had to do taxes. I got married in 1973. I can't remember when I got married. It was 71. Now, there were young families where one would work, and I'm just going to use this, at Pratt & Whitney in East Hartford as a machinist, and he was making pretty good money.
Oh, sure.
As a machinist back then at Pratt & Whitney. And the other person in the house worked for the state of Connecticut. Now, the big money coming into the house came from Pratt & Whitney, but the best benefits came from the state employee, where the state employee did not make a lot of money in their paycheck. They had the best health insurance. They had the
Well,
best
that's the trade-off. That's
they
the
had
trade-off.
the best retirement plans. And that has now
Flipped around.
completely changed.
Mm.
And job security.
You got state employees that even...
They have everything.
everything. You got
Everything.
six-figure salaries. You've got
Job security,
security,
benefits.
and not only that. And then we were
Unions.
talking about this before the show started. Is that and I have nothing against state employees. Again, a lot of people know that I have brothers that are state employees, and one of them's retired, going on to another position there.
Well, it's funny you mention that because we talk a lot about police officers on this show, good and bad. We point out different things, and some people will say, "Oh, they hate police officers."
No,
Could be
absolutely
could
not.
be further from the
No,
truth.
no.
Just because we analyze things and talk about issues, talk about problems, doesn't mean we hate anybody. In other words, I would venture to say that by pointing out things that should be fixed, you couldn't express a greater appreciation for something than that. Because if you don't care at all, then you don't care at all that there's a problem that needs to be fixed. So I just wanted to point that out. Just because you're talking about state employees and issues doesn't mean you hold any hostility towards them.
Well, here's a perfect example. We've got police officers that are going out with this type of a pay, and then we got new state troopers and town police officers that are going out with this type of a pay. And when I say this type of pay, I'm saying 401ks, which most towns are starting to go
They're
towards.
starting, right.
Because they're going, holy cow, we're sitting here paying for Tommy's pension, and Tommy
Hasn't worked in 20 years.
And hasn't worked in 20 years. And Tommy's over there
working someplace
painting
else.
houses now or whatever. And how are we supposed to... And here's the sad thing about it. Tommy was to retire with a salary of, say, $78,000. Nothing wrong with that. Most people would love to have a pension based on $78,000. But because Tommy, his last 3 years, worked his ass off and took all the overtime jobs from Mark and Frank and hey, Tommy, I got an overtime job. I know you're retired. You want to take... Yeah, sure. Now he's making $1.50. So now instead of getting a pension off of the $78,000, which most people would... I would love to be able to have a pension off of $78,000. He's sitting there getting a pension off $150,000, so he's probably almost making more on his pension than he did going to work. And now he can go out. Don't get me wrong. I say like this. I'm like,
that's the system. It's
that's
place.
the system that you worked at. But always remember this: you, me, Ed, we're the ones that pay that. And who negotiated that? The union officials. By the way, I work for a company, and I'm going to just say a real quick thing about these unions. And actually, scary to go on and talk about them. But they're down in our Rhode Island stores, and they're actually causing physical damage. They're looking at because we've got one of the plants down there they're trying to make the plant go union, and they're actually threatening families. They're threatening the workers down there. If they cross the picket lines, we know who you are. They're taking pictures.
Wow.
I'll tell you, these guys are brutes. They're big brutes, and all they want to do is just intimidate. It's unions, I believe, 50 years ago, we needed to have unions, but nowadays, it's a little scary.
And again, let's look at why the unions would act that way. It must, again, back to what your point was. What is the money situation?
Follow the money.
They have money to make from unionizing different shops.
Oh, absolutely.
Or is it that they just care so much about the workers and want to help them so much because they're oppressed that they feel like people don't know what's good for themselves, so they have to push it by using these tactics? Which is it?
I don't know.
The people who manage and administer the unions, the union president, union stewards, people like that, they get paid out of union dues. You don't hear about it too much anymore, but back in the day, the Teamsters Pension Fund was doing a lot of politicking. The union pension fund was so much money from the union truckers. But you don't hear about that a lot anymore.
No, you don't.
And I don't know. I just...
Weren't they supposed to be doing something else with the $5 million in Harwinton besides the library?
They were
though?
buying
they were buy
land
some
for
land.
elderly housing by that baseball field.
Now, they already have elderly housing over there, right?
Yeah. They were talking about buying, I know the properties.
Acquiring some more real estate.
Yeah. And as well we should. We should always take care of our seniors and stuff. I believe that if we have the opportunity to buy, it's not like they're living there for free. They pay money, so we should buy property. We should build houses. The town should build houses. I don't believe the town should necessarily, own the houses always. Maybe it should go to a private entity but it should stay at a almost like the apartments.
Subsidized housing.
Well, almost like the apartments in New York. What do they call those?
Co-op.
Type thing.
Or rent control.
Rent control.
Well, let me. In Rocky Hill, near where I reside, they've built a complex of new apartments. Now,
beautiful.
Beautiful. I have not done the research, but there is a program, and it goes like this. I want to build a top-of-the-line, first-class apartment complex with 1,000 apartments, 1,000 units, well, 500 units. And I need financing to build that complex. So what I do is I make an application to HUD, to the federal government, Housing and Urban Development. And I say, do you have any money for me to build housing? And they go, sure. Here's the deal. 25% or 125 units out of 500 have to be earmarked for low-income subsidized housing for the first 10 years. So, and if you make 125 units, low income, Section 8, housing assistance, we'll finance the project. So you get your financing. And a 3-bedroom apartment goes for $1,800 a month. But the same 3-bedroom apartment within the 125 is being rented for $1,000 a month. So a family with 3 children or 2 children, whatever, moves into the subsidized, based on their income, moves into the subsidized housing. And they're given leases. And it may say for the first 2 years of the lease, it's subsidized. And then you got to move out or move up so somebody else can move in. So some of these top-of-the-line, beautiful apartments, because Rachel's seen them. Wow, that's really nice. They're new. They're whatever. There are subsidized aspects, but where do you get the money to build them?
The other problem, though, you have to realize, though, is if you don't give people a ownership, somewhat of an ownership in a property, the property becomes they don't take care of the property. I've seen it. I used to do siding many years ago, and we would go into the projects to do side the projects, and we would leave at the end of the day, and you'd have this wall of maybe a earth tone siding, and you'd look at it and you say, wow, that looks really good comparatively speaking to what it used to look like.
Right.
The next day we would show up and have all spray painted and graffiti all over it. And this is the kind of stuff that now if people had an interest in those, they would stop somebody from doing graffiti on their so what it comes right down to, I believe, is these housing projects that the government puts people in, and okay, we're going to make this low-income housing. If you don't give the people an incentive to have ownership in something, then why would you do landscaping around your own house if you didn't own your house? There's reasons why people's houses look kind of disheveled.
But you know what? It's more of a culture. There are people. And my family was one of them growing up, who rented but still took great pride in taking care of where they lived, because where you live, you want it to be nice and livable. Doesn't matter if you own it, rent it, doesn't matter if you're staying in the hotel for a night, you still clean up the room and throw stuff in the trash can, because this is just how you are. And so what you're talking about is a whole concept of instilling in people that attitude, and that doesn't come quickly. It's over the course of generations. So I would tell you that even if people were given these homes and had an ownership interest in them, because that culture is not instilled of wanting things to be nice, wanting to present a certain image to the world, they're going to look like shit in a year or two anyway.
Well, I agree with that. What happens is when you give, like, if somebody just gives me something,
Yes.
I don't take that. You give your kid an iPhone. Why does the screen come back the next day smashed? If you told your kid, you know what, go work, 5 days a week cutting grass, and then when you get $700 to buy that iPhone, you take care of it. I guarantee you probably wouldn't see that screen coming
But see,
back.
you've hit the nail
next
on the
day.
head. You're saying these people should have an ownership interest, but to have an ownership interest that they care about, because it wasn't just given to them, now you have to instill the work ethic. That you have to go to work every day from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, even though you can't stand it, and even though you feel like you're not treated right, you still got to do it because you got to earn the money so you can pay for this. That's a whole nother concept that needs to be instilled.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't come quickly either.
No, it doesn't. But you know what? If we don't start doing something with this country is going to be a bunch of, people that are just looking for the next handout. And I'm sorry, but I think that
But it's
at a certain point,
it's a painful process.
it is. But at a certain point, there's going to be, right now, there's, say, 50% of the people that work, and then 50% of the people that don't. Once it goes over that 50%, where now there's only 40% of the people that work, eventually you're going to sit here and go, wait, we can't afford to keep doing this, because then eventually the people that don't work are going to outnumber the people that work.
At some point,
the money runs out.
At some point in recent history, I would say after World War II, possibly in the late 50s, early 60s, this country set a path that I call social experimentation. And I'll give you the example.
Or we took the easy way out. In other words, a lot of people will say that in the 60s, especially when the cities caught fire through the rioting, instead of addressing it head on, we paid people off to shut the hell up and just stop causing trouble, and paying them off was in fact welfare.
Well, they get a real funny thing.
We took the easy way out and paid people off.
They had a reporter on the road, and he was walking around, and he was asking people, "Hey, I got my billboard here or whatever. How many Syrians can we put in your house today? These people that are coming in," and he was asking all these liberal New Yorkers. And I can't do anything right now, but and the funny thing is there's a lot of people that want all these people to come in and get all kinds of social welfare and everything, but when it comes right down to putting your
money where your mouth
is, here they have the opportunity. I'll take one in my apartment. Not one.
Well,
not
excuse
one
me.
The lights on and master control.
I think they're willing to put their money where their mouth is, but only if the money is far, far away and isn't impacting their actual space.
You don't see too many group homes in Fairfield County, I'm sure. Where there's
Chris, it's good to have you back.
It is good to have you back.
I enjoyed
I'm so happy to see
hanging out
you.
with you guys today, and hopefully
Tell your wife.
See you next Thursday.
Tell your wife that we love her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Hey,
All
you
right.
know what? I was gonna say we should go down to the Torrington Library just for the
We
fun of
should.
it and just walk around and see
I
what
love
they
libraries.
We're out of here.
See you Saturday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That would be fun.
Now, did you ever go to the Torrington?
I have, yes.
It's been